Hey guys, so how many of you guys have struggled with relationships with other guys? I know a lot of times we talk about women, and there's a lot to talk about there, as we all know. But what about your relationships with other guys? You know, building those bonds and those core friendships and for the long haul is what I'm talking about. So that's what I wanted to discuss today on Resilient Man. Kind of hanging out here in my car and was thinking, I think about this a lot when it comes to having those core friendships and stuff. And there's three types of guy friends, good buddies or buddies that I think about, that I want to share with you today, that I think some of y'all can probably relate to this. And if you can, comment down below, share your experiences, your comments and such. That'd be a big help. Like and subscribe to Resilient Man. So when I think about friendships with other guys, it seems to me there's like three types of friendships. One is the real friendships. I mean, you've got guys who they have been with you through thick and thin. You could call them in a pinch. You could call them and I'm on my way. I'm on my way to come help you. That type of friend. You know they've got your back and you can rely on them. The second type of friendship, I call them my good time buddies. Those are the guys who we might hang out and drink some beers. We might go to a concert together, have fun and party together and that type of thing. But really they're just acquaintances, and they kind of drift in and out of your life. I mean, sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. And I think a lot of you could probably relate to this. You probably don't look at them as guys that you can depend on per se, but they're fun. They're fun to hang out with when you hang out with them. And so we'll discuss that second type of acquaintance or friendship. And then the third type of guy friend for me has been the guys who maybe they started out as good time buddies, and then once I got to know them and saw their character and the way they were, that they were a little shady and did some shitty, some shifty stuff, that they needed to be removed from my life, and I needed to distance myself from them. So let's do this. I'm actually going to take this in reverse, actually. So we'll discuss the third type first, the shady, shifty guy that you were hanging out with at first, and then we'll talk about the good time buddy, and then we'll talk about the good friend. So let's start with the shifty guy. How many of you guys have been hanging out with somebody and look, man, I like to go out and party. I like to have fun in moderation. I don't do it all the time. I like live music. I'm a huge live music guy, and of course, I like to go dance. And those friends that I've gone out and hung out with and party, we go out and we have a good time. And it's kind of one of those friendships that, like, for the night, they're your wingman type of guy. Would you trust this guy? Probably not. Would you invite them into your inner circle? Would you share your details of your life with your relationships or your finances? Absolutely not. These are surface level guys. And so, but I've had guys that I was friends with that, and maybe some of you guys can relate to this and comment down below if you can, that we've hung out, and then the more we hung out, the more I realized I didn't want to hang out with them. I didn't want them in my life. So I'll share a quick story of one of those type of guys. So there was a guy I hung out with, and we used to party and have a good time, chase some women, that type of thing. Good, and it was always a fun time with this guy. But I was having a conversation with him one day, and he was telling me about how his son who was in college, was not doing well, and was lazy and a ne'er-do-well type of young man and into drugs and different shit like that. And he was telling me how his son was had dropped out of college because he was lazy and didn't want to do the work. And so we're having this conversation, and he was sharing with me how he told his son, he said, well, why don't you go online and do college online, with one of those type of schools. And he said, well, his son said to him, well, I don't know, Dad, I don't know if I could do that, blah, blah, blah. And something to the effect of, well, during the COVID epidemic, you had to go online and do your high school online. So, it would be similar. So apparently his son said, yeah, Dad, I actually cheated on a lot of my schoolwork when we were forced to do school online during COVID. And this is what got me. This guy tells me that he said this to his son. He said to his son, well, you could do the same with your online university. You could cheat through that. All that matters is that you get the degree in the end. You get that piece of paper. And I was just sitting there listening to this guy going, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, you're as a father telling your son to cheat and on to get a college degree? Right then and there, I was like, yeah, I don't need to be hanging out with this guy. And that was the last time we hung out too. And there were other things he did that were kind of shady, but that's a great example of guys like that you need to cut out of your life. If they're shady like that, if they have no character, if they have no integrity, if they're perfectly fine with lying and cheating or whatever the case might be, they'll stab you in the back at some point too. So you need to cut them out. So that's the first type of guy. The next type of guy is what I call my good time buddies. And these are the guys who, to me, they kind of run hot and cold. And some of you can probably relate to this. You hear from them a lot sometimes, and you hang out and you party or you do a lot of things together. And then you run through a period where they've kind of drifted away and they're hot and cold, type of deal. And that's why I call them my good time buddies, because you really can't depend on them. They're not going to be for you there in a pinch. They're just there for the good times. And a quick example or a quick story I would share with that situation. I've had numerous guy friends in my life who, well, I had one recently. I mean, we hung out a lot, went to concerts, we were, doing many things together, and then just fades away and just kind of goes MIA, for lack of a better way of putting it. And it's nothing you've done or anything. It's just it's almost like they just want a little bit of social connection, but not too much. There's other guys that I've hung out with, and I noticed, like, I had one guy who, when we hung out, we had a great time. It was really fun. Usually he would invite me over to his place for parties with him and his wife. They'd throw these great parties, come over, great food, great group of people and music, and we're having a great time. But I finally recognized if I didn't reach out to him, I didn't hear from him. And we always did what he wanted to do, i.e. come over to his place for his parties. And whenever I suggested, well, when you're in my part of town, man, reach out, let's go grab a beer, let's go do something, it never happened. Okay? How many of you guys can relate to that type of good time buddy? So those I just kind of let fade away as well. And it's disappointing, because how many guys you probably can relate to. There's guy friends that you have that on paper, man, you think, man, we should be really good friends, but they're not interested in investing the time and the effort. They just want a surface level friendship. And I'm not whining or complaining about that. Personally, I believe you meet people where they are. You know, as a sidebar, do the same thing with women. If a woman is not putting in the effort, she's not putting in the time and interest, either match that at a very low level based on hers or move on. Same with guy friends. I mean, if they are not matching your effort, if they're not reaching out, if they're not trying to continue to develop and cultivate the friendship, that tells you all you need to know. So that would be my second type of guy friend that I think a lot of us have out there. And then the third one is the rare one. And a lot of us, if we're lucky to have one or two of these guys in our lives as a brother, I mean, you can depend on this dude. Count yourself fortunate. And I've got one guy that we've known each other since we were 12 years old. And he lives about 10 hours from me. And he lives back where I'm originally from. And he will call me out of the blue and just, hey man, was thinking about you, wanted to call and catch up, see what's going on. How's life treating you? I know you were dealing with this or you were dealing with that. How is that going? You know, that type of friendship. And the thing that's interesting with this friendship, and hopefully some of you guys have at least one guy friend like this, is where we're from is kind of a small town, and he's lived there his whole life, and he knows everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean, we jokingly call him the unofficial mayor of the town, because every time when I'm down visiting, we go out, he knows everybody. They're shaking hands, they're hugging. I mean, he just, you know, that type of deal. And the point I'm making is he has a very good social circle. He's very popular. He has lots of friends there in town, but he takes the time and thinks about me, who lives 10 hours away. He takes the time and he thinks about reaching out to me to make sure we continue that connection and that friendship. And, you know, he's the type of guy, and I believe this goes both ways, that if he called me and said, look, man, I got this issue, I need your help, I need you to come down, I'd be in the car and I would be heading down to help him. And that would go both ways. He's been there through my divorce. He's been there through other challenges and different things like that. Another thing that he has done, which is a key thing with real friendships like this, is good friends like that will talk shit to your face. They'll rag on you, they'll mess with you, kind of hold you accountable in different ways and things like that. But they will not let other people talk shit behind your back, and they will have your back. And I've seen that so many times with this friendship. I had a situation a while back where people were actually gossiping about some things in my life, and he told me about it, and he told me, I told them to shut the fuck up, and you need to mind your own business and stay out of his business, and, you know, instead of running your mouth. And that just really reinforced to me, man, that this is a brother. This is a brother who cares, and he's got my back, and I can depend on that. So anyway, so I was thinking about this because, guys, the name of this channel is Resilient Man, and a big help, if you will, in being a resilient man and staying resilient in our lives, dealing with the shit that we men have to deal with, is having a bro or two or that's got your back, that generally cares about you and about your friendship. And so I was thinking about that today. Thought I'd get on and just share this, see what your thoughts are. Guys, share your thoughts on, what your experiences have been. Is it hard for you to make friends? I mean, real, true friends that they are core in your life. Have you had challenges? Share your thoughts. Share what your experiences have been, and because that does lend itself to helping you being more resilient when you're going through the many challenges in this life with women, of course, and work and home and kids and everything else that we deal with. So anyways, guys, that's what I've got for you today on Resilience Man channel. Like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're enjoying the content, and remember, know your worth, protect your peace.